Lauren Stone, and I'm a comedian. What do I do? I work at a theatre, and then I'm also a comedian. And I just have a lot of stupid thoughts and then put them on the stage. I think that's, yeah.
So you say you call them stupid thoughts, but how do you define that as sort of stupid? Like what, like in your perspective, what counts as stupid? Or is that stupid because other people think it's stupid? Like
I think, I'm being a little bit flippant, but just like silly things, like people, like puns, things that people tell to little kids, like that sort of joke, I really enjoy. And also just like daft things that have happened to me in my life. I get a lot of recently I've been doing a lot of jokes about things that people shout at me in the street, because I get people shout weird things, somebody shouted fanny features at me in the street, and I've talked about that on stage, like they've completely misunderstood what a fanny looks like, and just, I guess stuff like that. It's not necessarily like super highbrow intellectual humour, but it's fun.
Is there anyone that you've seen like in comedy, or anybody that you watch, like a pro that you like particularly, who does something similar to you or different to you that you like a lot? Is there anyone that sort of...
There's loads. I mean, quite a lot of the big influences on me are like 1980s alternative comedians rather than people who are working now. Although I'm also influenced by people who are working now. I like Stuart Lee a lot, I like Josie Long a lot. I just watch a lot of YouTube videos of Bobcat Goldthwait. He's got, when he was working in the 80s, he had this incredible, really nervous energy. He would go on stage and look like he was having a panic attack, and I love that. Just running past the microphone screaming before you get to the punchline of a joke. I think, because I've got quite a, I don't know, maybe a bit of a nervous and a bit of an awkward energy, I was just like, oh my god, someone else is like me.
That's an interesting point. Respond really well to, or really poorly? Like, what do you have a sense of sort of how people react to that kind of thing? But
people love to tell me what is on their minds post-performance. Some people respond really well. One of my favourite compliments I've ever had at the stand was a guy came up to me after my bit and was like, "You tell really terrible jokes, but you manage to make people laugh at them anyway, and I think that's a massive skill." And I was just like, yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
Silly.
So that's
I think maybe some of the, because obviously I co-host a show as well, and that's based on the point of us hosting that show is to book more female comedians, and some of the feedback for that show has been really, really good, especially from women, especially from people who don't normally enjoy comedy shows, because it's a more welcoming crowd. It's less of a aggressive drunk hecklers kind of crowd, and more of a you can go and see it and you feel at home in the crowd.
Yeah.
That's the best kind of,
There sort of venues and kind of shows have you done? How did you get into comedy? How has it kind of progressed to where you are now? If you where did you start out, and how did you get to where you are now, and what kind of things do you do as a comedian?
Huge question. How do I start? Okay, so I grew up performing. I grew up in a kind of creative family. My dad kind of got me into performing because my dad's an actor and a director, and We did pantomimes together when I was a kid, so that, you know, that's like that sense of like slapstick, ridiculous, kind of community-driven theatre is like really where I'm coming from, I think. And when I was at university, when I was in second year, I think, I used to play the ukulele, I still do sometimes, and play songs that I think are funny to hear on the ukulele. So I'd play like covers of Kings of Leon and stuff. And my housemate was like, that's funny and you should do this at a student cabaret thing. And so one of the first times that I performed as part of a open mic kind of cabaret thing at university was that. I was just playing some songs, nervously chatting in between that. And then people came up to me afterwards and sort of referred to me as a comedian, and they were like, we're part of the Comedy Society, do you want to come and perform with us? And I was like, oh, that's what I'm doing. Like, that makes loads of sense. Okay, it's easier to call it comedy than it is to be like, people are laughing at me. But yeah, so I started to do more when I was a student. And then kind of following university, I did a bit all over the place. I've sort of moved around. I moved around a lot after uni, and did a lot of different jobs. I played sound effects for the circus as my job for a bit. So I've kind of had that like slightly ridiculous life experience, and then moving to Newcastle like nearly 2 years ago now, I've done more just around Newcastle, gigging around Newcastle and gigging around the north of England, doing stuff like that. I think, yeah, there's probably sort of... Manchester's a big place for comedy at the moment, so I've done sort of some stuff in Manchester, and I'm starting to do more stuff in Manchester. I've performed, not as a comedian, but like playing sound effects, and also just as an actor at the Edinburgh Festival. But yeah, I think I'm just starting to like... I've done a lot of gigs, but I'm just starting to like properly feel like, oh yeah, I understand Newcastle and like places that I can go and do comedy, and like starting to move a bit further abroad.
Okay. Sorry, I've got to ask you, sound effects at the circus. You need to expand on that. You need to expand on that. What did that entail? Like, what, sort of like music, or that's really interesting to me.
Kind of. So, yeah, I moved to Newcastle, and some friends of mine are very good musicians, and they're also very involved with the circus. Like Circus Central, which is a really good kind of training school and circus school in Newcastle. And for a bit we had a sort of band called Tatters Catman and the Infinite Broken Sequins, and we would do kind of incidental music for circus shows. So those guys kind of had a lot of like accordion and other instruments, and mainly what I did was I had a big table of sort of percussion and weird, like a clown horn, one of those like that kind of thing, and like loads of wooden frogs, and you can hit those and they make different noises. Just basically stuff